I listened many times last night to the song We All Belong. Had a real impact on me because I realized my theme this Sunday is live boldly, to live boldly. And boldness means the willingness to take risks, to live in courage and confidence and fearlessness. And I really realized the courage and confidence it takes to live a life where we all belong. I don't know about for you, but for me, I grew up and you were comfortable with what you knew. People that looked the same and acted the same and thought the same and believed the same. That was the comfort zone. But we were taught so often that things that are different, we feared because we didn't understand. And I know that we've come here at this planet by a universal consciousness because we are the ones that are going to break down those walls and start living together in oneness. But what courage and boldness it takes. And so I honor you for being part of that. And I honor me for having the courage to be part of that. And I know that together, as Mario and Janet were sharing, that we're changing the world by holding on to the confidence and knowing that our youth isn't a problem, it's the possibility. It's the possibility. So we're here together to hold and know and do that. There was one of my favorite poets in college was E.E. Cummings. Well, I liked that he wrote his name all in lowercase letters, but I also loved his poetry. Bold, courageous. And he said, I imagine that yes is the only living thing. I imagine that yes is the only living thing. Now we have to be really careful that yes doesn't mean a doormat. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes means being in alignment with who we really are. Being in alignment with the knowing and the truth that we teach every single Sunday, that we are one, that God's spirit, infinite intelligence, creative potential, whatever you want to call that, vibrational energy is all there is, and we are one with that, and we stand there and hold it and know it. And when we do that, we can do miraculous, courageous, wonderful things. I want to read a quote from Ernest Holmes that comes from his new design for living. He got it, he shared it, and we get to hear it. He said, the purpose of our lives is to live life. Do not shy away from it, be fearful of it, or deprive yourself of its full enjoyment. The sooner we come to realize the full nature of life, that we are the creators, that we create our experience, that we are making things happen. As soon as we come to realize and accept the true nature of life and its innate goodness, its innate what? Thank you. Its innate goodness, it changes our life completely, and it up-levels the consciousness of the world. Our lives are what we make of them, thought by thought. And herein lies the possibility to express creatively and let God be at the center of our action. We say almost every Sunday that we are the way life, God, goodness expresses itself. But what happens? What happens? We forget that we are the way life expresses itself. And I want to tell you something. Life is not weak or tired or inadequate, or does it feel unworthy? Have you ever woken up and heard a little message that said, I'm sorry, I didn't bring the sun up today. I just stayed in my jammies because I was really tired. It doesn't happen that way because life only knows how to give its infinite and unending energy that we get to use. Although I have to admit, I love jammy days. But, I am also in human incarnation, so it's a little different because we have this paradox to balance. So we get to decide how we're going to live our life. We decide. Until you and I recognize that we are the creators of our own experience, that we decide about life, we're going to be bounced around. Because let me tell you something. The law, whether it's the physical law of gravity, which works whether you know about it or not. If you have an apple and let it go, it's going to fall, even if you don't know anything about the law of gravity. Well, the law that Josh was reading about so beautifully this morning, the law, which is the creative medium of spirit, works always whether we know about it or not. The law of cause and effect, the energy, law of attraction, it's working in our lives, that we're creative essences. And even if we don't know about it, we'll get bounced around in life by the effects of life. The law of cause and effect is working, and it's the effects that get us until it gets our attention. How many of you feel like you get bounced around by the effects of your life? Oh, come on. We all do. Because we forget temporarily. And the whole idea why we come here to church, to the service, to classes, to the center, is because we want to remember that we are powerful beings. And right now we have everything we need. But until we remember that, the law, which is the creative medium of spirit, will be our taskmaster and will push us around in life until we get it. Oh, I'm the cause of my life. Thank you. And once we realize that we're the cause of our lives, we get to use this creative medium to create our lives. It becomes our servant. We get to use it to create the life that we want. How many of you noticed, even when you change, since consciousness is all there is, and when we change our consciousness, we change our experience, even when the experience is out here, the physical things don't change, we change our experience of them. Have you noticed when you wake up with your gratitude list in the morning, how you get out of bed and there's more to be grateful for? And when you wake up in that really piss-poor mood, that everything is pissy. You know, everything is just not working right, because it's not what we're looking at, it's what we're looking with that makes the difference. We decide what we see. And when the problem, we get caught in these old, rigid grooves in our mind that we call habitual thinking, it's like a broken record. Since we're always creating, if we're creating the same thing, it's like this broken record. We have to have a flexible mind. And if you thought, what would a flexible mind be made of? What vibration? What energy would be in a flexible mind? Faith, possibility, oneness, faith in a flexible mind. And a flexible mind knows that there's a human mind of intellect and reason that's a wonderful guide to get us so far in life. We use our intellect and reason to guide us and help us, but it's only going to get us so far. Boom, so far. There's a spiritual mind, the mind of God, the mind of the mystic, the mind of infinite possibilities. And you and I must have the courage and be bold enough to step over the threshold between the human mind and the divine mind of which we are a part. We have to have the courage to make that journey. But so many of us over here on this side, and we want to drag with us all the stuff that says we can't. Well, you can't because you're too busy. You're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. You're too old. You're too young. You're too this. And we want to, that doesn't go over there. But we're trying to drag it and we can't get it over. We have to do what? We have to let it go and take the step. Because what happens when we touch that place, we know that we are one. We lose all concept of being separate. Ernest Holmes said there's two amazing, beautiful gifts we get from Spirit. The most important things in the whole world. Love and creativity. He went on to explain about love but he didn't explain it in the way that we'd probably think he would. He explained it in the words of a renowned anthropologist, Ashley Montag, in those beautiful words of this anthropologist who studied all of life. And Ashley said, the only word that I can find that even comes close to what love really means is interconnectedness. Interconnectedness. That we belong together. From the cells and atoms of the world to the big, beautiful, universal patterns in life. We're interconnected and we belong. The beautiful 13th century mystic Hafez said, I have learned so much from God. And that's when you take that step. I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Jew. Truth has taught me so much. Truth has taught me and shared so much of itself with me. I cannot call myself a man, a woman, an angel, even pure soul. Love has befriended Hafez so completely that it turned to ash and freed me of every and any concept my mind has ever known. That's what happens in these mystical experiences when we can feel the oneness of life. And they happen at crazy times. We don't even know, but when we've given ourselves up, when we've done our work and our concentration, I remember one time, I've had several of these, but one time driving to school, thinking about my lesson plans I was going to teach, and all of a sudden I drove down this street that had all these trees, and everything came alive, and there was no separation from me and the leaves on the trees. And I thought I was there for an eternity. Missed class. It was probably only a few minutes, but it was so beautiful. You can never go back. Once you've touched the place of oneness, you can never go back. Ernest Holmes didn't tell stories a lot, little stories, cute little stories. I love cute little stories, don't you? They're so cute. I love them. But he didn't tell stories much. He was really philosophized and really was he would teach and be so charismatic. But right after he shared this story about the interconnectedness, he shared a little story that he liked. And it's a story I'd heard before, and I'm sure we've heard, but you can't hear it too much. Because it's a reminder of why we're here. It's a reminder of how to live boldly out of the confines of fear and problems. Do you know if right now, for some reason in your life, you're at the worst place you've ever been? Great. That's the best time for change. Because your mind gets blown out of its little things anyway. And you get to think differently. You get to be different. So if this is a time you're in the worst place, and I'll get to the story in a minute, but this is a perfect time. Now, I asked, we didn't have a large group first service. The teens were here a lot, so I really focused on them. But how many of you pray for yourself every day? That's not so good. Because we know the power of prayer. We know that prayer changes things. And if we're not praying for ourselves every single day, then we're missing out on the vibrational possibility of this world. We need to be praying for ourselves to have a more flexible mind, a more loving heart towards ourselves. Because remember, it's not what we're looking at, it's what we're looking with. So here's how the story goes. We know in our teaching that we don't believe hell or heaven is a place, but it's a state of mind. So there was a man who got to go on a tour of heaven and hell. And he started out and he said he wanted to go to hell first. So he went down to this place called hell and took a tour, and he walked in, and there were these long tables, people sitting at both sides of the table, tables were laden with buffet of food, delicious. He looked at each and every person there, and they were emaciated and starving and fearful, because they had on their hands these long spoons that were tied to their hands, and they couldn't feed themselves. And the man was very disheartened, and he left, and he thought, oh, heaven's going to be a much different place. And he walked in the door in his tour of heaven and saw the same thing, long tables laden with just delicious buffet of food, people sitting on both sides with the same long, long spoons tied to their hands. But he looked at them, and they were happy and well-fed, smiling and joyful, because they were feeding each other. For me, that's what we're here to do. It's to remember that we belong, to live boldly enough to, first of all, gain our place in the universe, who we are, what we are here to do. And I'd like you to just, since most of you didn't pray for yourself today, would you unwind yourself, and we'll just pray for ourselves right now. I just want you to be very open and receptive to the knowing right here and right now, right where we are in the midst of the allness of God, the perfection of God, the joy of God, the abundancy, the sufficiency of all life. Right here in this moment, because God simply is, love simply is, joy simply is, peace, perfection, wholeness is all there is, that we are right here sitting in the midst of all of that. Not separate, but one with this allness of life. And I know for each and every one of us, as we choose in this moment to melt any thoughts of separation, to melt away any doubts or lack, anything unlike this perfection of love, that we can feel the vibration of life, the yes energy working through us. Yes, I am an expression of God. Yes, I am the way life knows itself. Yes, I am provided with everything I need right in this moment and every moment, because I know that God never holds back, that God is here ever giving, sharing, loving of itself in this and every moment. Taking a nice deep breath, owning and letting go of any trouble thoughts, any drama, any rigidity in this moment, and being flowing and flexible in the moment to receive and share and be a part of this vibration of life. How good it is. I know for us that as we sit here in this oneness, that we see the good that is here for us right now. That we are here on purpose, by divine appointment, not by accident, but here because we matter. And it feels so good to be in that energy of sufficiency, of yesness, of knowing that right where we are, we're here because we are meant to be here right now. And just holding that energy, let the creative essence of who we are just vibrate through and as us. But that, of course, is not enough to just hold the vibration of truth, of love, of knowing, of joy, of goodness, of harmony, and peace for ourselves. Our good is calling to be shared. So we can simply take the hand of the person next to you. Without looking, without speaking, without saying a thing. Letting your hand speak goodness, peace, love, joy, lightness, flow. Seeing for the ones next to you the same good that you held right now for yourself, that all needs are met. Everything is provided for. We are supplied right here and now. And just knowing that for the people next to you, for this congregation, this InSpirit community, let this peace, this love, this goodness flow forth like an elixir of love, a healing elixir that absolutely surrounds this planet and moves out into the universe, of which we are a significant part. How good it is. We just say, thank you, God. And so it is. So I just have one last question, and then I'm gone. But I mean, just down in my chair. But poof, not yet. So since this is Yes Sunday, what is your answer to living life fully? What is your answer to being an expression of God? And what is the answer? Do you know that everything you need is provided for right here and now? Yes, and so it is. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Mwah.